Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I found a video that I desperately needed to watch. So, Legal Mindset, he's a good legal YouTuber. I kind of like his content. I see it all the time on X. I see other people reacting to his videos. And today, I saw a video that he posted called Make America Breed Again. And he used a picture from one of the games that I just recently got done playing called Five Hearts Under One Roof. So I really want to see what this is about, how much he plays into that game versus what else he kind of goes into. So let's take a look at it and see what he's got to say.
Make Americans breed again. Today, we're going to talk about an American breeding visa that can fix the birth rate crisis and bring things back from the
Oh,
brink in America.
he's going where okay. I see where he's going. I see where he's going. And the wife and I talked about this. If I'm not mistaken, I saw something a while back that said Japan needed to do this. And I looked at my wife. I'm like, dear, I'm going to do this for the Japanese government. I'm going to do it for my second country. Because, Japan to me is my second favorite home. We've talked about moving there, but I'm like, I'm going to do it. She's like, yeah, in your dreams.
And solve also many of the issues that are plaguing the country. Of course, it's the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney living over here in Asia, and I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. This is, of course, the Fast Facts version, which is the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. If you like this, make sure you like the video and comment below. So let's get into the breeding visa. I have a PowerPoint for you guys to enjoy here.
Okay, he put together
Make
PowerPoint.
Americans breed again. Okay, what's the problem? The problem in America, no babies. No babies. It's a societal problem. It's a problem that is not just America. It's many developing countries. It's many other countries that have very, very similar problems where their birth rates are dropping fast. And this is a
Yeah, what I've noticed through charts and other details that I've seen online, I've read in news articles, and I'm not trying to make this a whole racial thing, but it seems to actually kind of be on a racial lines. A lot of the white, affluent, well-off countries, their people, their like reproduction rate has fallen. Like they're holding off, waiting to have kids. Things are too expensive. It's Things are starting to become almost like it's weird how things happen like this. But you guys remember the movie Idiocracy? It's almost like that, where you had the white family, the white middle class family talking about having the kids, but wanting to wait. Things are expensive, blah, 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 waiting for the right moment. Yet you had this other. Now, in the movie, they didn't make it a different race. They made it a white person, I think probably for obvious reasons. But in the movie, you had the poor, lower income individual just reproducing over and over and over again. And so what you see is a lot of these third world countries, they don't have that, whether it be impulse control, whether it be access to medical technology such as condoms or birth control to help alleviate unwanted pregnancies. So they just reproduce like crazy. But in a lot of your more well-off white nations, they don't. They hold off, whether it be because they want to put their career first. It's for various reasons, but they don't. So what's going to end up happening is they're going to be essentially overtaken by the people who constantly reproduce. It eventually happens if nothing is done to change that fact.
chronic problem for any country because when you have this, you're going to have problems in the future with your economy, with your society. It
Oh yeah.
is a massive, massive risk. So the question is,
And another problem is when you have social services similar to like Social Security, the way it pays out the longer we live and whatnot. If you don't have a lot of younger generations working and paying into this, then the system's going to crumble. It depends on having a lot of younger individuals working for years, paying into the system for it to actually work. So if you don't have enough people reproducing and putting in those young people into the workforce, then yeah, it's social services like that will crumble.
to turn this around, and we're looking for solutions to turn this around and make Americans have families again. So solution, right? And there's a male and female solution here, right? Big for the ladies and for the men. Well, there's a lot of very attractive foreign men and women, and there are American women and American men that would love to go and have, well, some breeding opportunities.
The wife and I, we're one of them. She loves Asian men, specifically like Japanese, Korean, Chinese. I love Asian women. It's just it's weird. Like we met and got married, and we're so alike in so many different ways, politically, socially, all these different. It's amazing how well we matched.
Opened up to them here today. So we've got, whether you're interested in any flavor of dude, we've got that here. Same for the guys. We've got,
He used the doctor from Five Hearts Under One Roof, season 2 right here. She's pretty, don't get me wrong, but if I had to choose, it would be her in a heartbeat. Again, you take equally beautiful women, and if one of them's Asian, she's gonna win out every single time.
got the Latin flavor, we've got Eastern Europe, we've got Asia, a lot of places that you can go to explore these new possible breeding opportunities. Now, before you think this is crazy, you're like, Andrew, this is absolutely nuts, right? This is wild.
It's nuts that you have to
Japan
actually
is already doing this.
put this out
Japan
here.
already
See?
has a
I
visa
told
for
you.
future creation of an
I
individual.
told you Japan did this. I told my wife I want to do this, and she's like, no.
Doesn't that sound lovely? Doesn't that sound cute? Future creation of an individual, a spouse or child of a future creation individual. So they're already doing this up to 2 years. You're allowed to come to Japan. You're allowed to go there. And you're supposed to be at the same time job hunting, looking for some sort of entrepreneurial job.
Tell you what, I know nothing will, because that's how solid the wife and I are. But if something were to ever happen, this is what I'm doing. This right here is what I'm doing. I can work remote. This is what I'm doing right fucking here.
Or engaging in some sort of other activity, right? So you're doing something, you're not doing nothing there, you're not idle, you're not homeless, etc., right? And you have to have certain level of education, right? And you have to be able to support yourself. There has to be money to support them. Now, Japan's program is
Wait.
Japan's program.
Individual must have been awarded a qualification by an eligible university, and the qualification must be at the same level as a bachelor's degree, master's degree. Fuck. See, here's what they don't understand, and I don't like this. I understand what they're trying to do here, but I don't like this. What they should also state is that you have equivalent like work experience or certifications and whatnot, because in certain fields, especially if they're technical, they have their own training programs. So it's the training they provide is going to be so much better than if you go to a 4-year university. Like I started going to school. I started doing the 4-year university thing, started taking technical classes, and realized the technical classes they were giving me were just horrible. They were bad. I had already had my CCNA certification, which is in the Cisco networking world at that time, the very entry level certification, the very bottom floor certification you could get. And I already had knowledge and understanding of everything the college was trying to teach me. In fact, it was so dumb. I'm like, I feel like they're treating me like I'm a baby, like they're just baby feeding me. You know what I mean? And it was a waste of money. I could get much more from an educational standpoint. Not to mention, it would benefit me a lot more in my employment status and professionally in my career if I just went through the certification program and certification track that was already laid out by Cisco or by Juniper, these large technical companies in the network and engineering field. So no. Hopefully they adjust that. They're going to have to, because I'm hoping it says, and the qualifications must be at the same level as a bachelor's degree. So even though it says eligible university, I'm hoping. Well, what? This is never going to happen for me. But you get my point.
Program does have its flaws, and America, like with California rules, can do everything better. We're taking over their version, we're making it better. And Japan, once again, very advanced country, does a lot of things right, but America can do it better. So let's tell you how I would plan on doing this. And
I used to agree with you. I don't now.
by the way, Americans want this.
Yes.
We've seen with
Yes, we do.
Asmongold
We love
over here,
Asian women.
right? Thirsty for Gran. We've seen this with people thirsty for the Korean male
Yep,
celebs
that would
over
be my
here.
wife.
So the American thirst is real 100%. This is absolutely something that Americans are clamoring for. So here's the requirements. Here's my plan. Once again, this is the legal mindset breeding visa. I'm doing not as an April Fool's joke. This is a very real thing and will very much fix this. I've gone through these criteria, and as
It'll never
somebody who's
happen,
lived abroad,
sadly.
who's dealt with
Sad.
dozens and dozens and dozens of
Oh,
different
let me
visa
move my camera so that you guys can see it. I'm gonna put it in the bottom. There we go.
applications and visa types. This is something that's very much in my experience, my personal
Someone needs to
experience
tag
of
Trump
having
in
to
this.
deal with visas. These requirements
He likes
will
foreign women. He should
100% work.
understand.
The admins can pretty much copy paste these and they will work off the base. So let's just go over here and say, okay, what are the eligible
Requirements
countries?
for breeding
Well, countries which
applicant.
do not pose a security risk. So, hello CIA. How about you wake up, you stop, doing crazy stuff, woke stuff. You stop MK Ultraing people, and you go and you actually collect facts.
It's not just a security risk. I also think it needs to be from a nation that honestly their offspring, the chances of their offspring being a net positive to our country should be there. So a lot, that would honestly knock out a lot of the third world. In fact, it would only include people from first world countries, people who have the chance to be educated and have at least some understanding of what society and civilization is like and how to exist and live within that society. Because unless you're saying, hey, knock somebody up and then leave, I would imagine when you knock them up, you want to create that family. You want that person to be part of the family structure that helps raise these people. So they need to have, at least to some degree, a good IQ, a good understanding of society and how to live civilly within a civilized society.
on countries. So you go and say which are posing security risks, which are not. So obviously, we don't want anywhere where people are at danger or being trafficked. So that's the second one. These countries do not engage in trafficking. Human trafficking is an absolute evil, and anyone caught
Agreed,
engaging in human
100%.
trafficking should be jailed and
No,
thrown away for a very
No, I don't want to pay for them. If you're caught human trafficking, no. Prove it in a court of law, sure, but after that, no. I don't want to pay to house you for the rest of your life in jail. Nope. Get 50 cents for a bullet and let's just be done with it.
very, very long time. Human trafficking is absolutely evil. So these things should be shut down right away. Next, this is for the breeding applicant. So we only need fit people in the country. We do not need overweight people. One of the
100%.
problems in America is, and I just came back, is people are still overweight. A lot of people are still overweight. That's not okay. We need a health and fitness test, a low BMI. Now, I know some people are going to say, this is just to get in attractive people. Well, these things tend to be correlated, right? Attractive.
You want attractive people to be breeding because that's going to make attractive kids. And the point he's about to make is if you're considered attractive, then you're most likely to some degree in shape.
Attractiveness tends to be correlated with better fitness, better health.
Yes.
So yes, you've got to get fit, you've got to get in shape. If you're not in shape, it's not going to work. You have to have a standard education. I'm saying at least high school. By high school, you've learned a lot of the important things for your life. You've learned the basic skills, you've learned math, you've got English, you've got science, you've got all the bedrock that you need to go forward.
Don't get me started on high school. I think high school needs some major fixing. I don't think these kids are coming out with as much basic understanding of the world as this lawyer is thinking that they do. Maybe in the old days, like when I was in high school, maybe when he was in high school. But nowadays, I just got a kid who graduated high school and is in college. And there was times throughout his middle school to high school career that he shouldn't have passed certain things. And they did. They raised him up anyway. So we had to deal with that, work with that to help catch him up from an educational standpoint. And there's times where teachers know that they're struggling and they don't reach out. I mean, there's a lot of things I could get into about this, and I won't because it's not the purpose of this video. But I think you want to see that they've got some level of, okay, what are you doing after high school? What are your plans? Okay, what do you want to do with your life? Not just someone who's like, oh, I'm out of high school. All right, let's make babies. You know what I mean? No, that's not what I want.
There isn't really anything that is necessary in university or can't be dealt with by technical training or apprenticeship. And there's a lot of Americans that don't want to go to university now because it's essentially propaganda and they want to go work or they want to do something like cybersecurity. With my friend Ryan's cybersecurity course at Elevate Cyber, I'll put a link to that in the description below.
Ooh,
With
paid
that,
promo.
people are not wanting to go to actual university. They're wanting to go into some sort of training.
See,
They're wanting to go
this is what I was talking about earlier when he pointed out Japan's requirements. This is what I was talking about. See, he knows. He's smart enough to understand this. Good for him.
to work, and that's fine. Let's let them do that, and let's let them go outside and find people who are also
Okay, so
very
that's what he means by at least high school. Okay, I was getting ahead of myself earlier. All right, good. Good. I'm glad he thought that through.
similar to them and have the same similar levels. Maybe they've gone out and become YouTubers. Who knows? And the next is a verbal English fluency test. They need to be at least conversational. This is important, right? We don't want people over here that don't have verbal English. I know there's issues with people being dyslexic, and we have to be consider that for writing. But your verbal skills need to be on point. You need to be able to communicate. You will not be able to have a deep, meaningful relationship with somebody, man or woman. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to have a deep, meaningful relationship unless you have English fluency and the ability.
I can kind of understand. Here's my counterpoint. If they meet a lot of these other requirements for the breeding applicants, perhaps we should do like an ESL. Let's teach them English, because I understand the point he's making, but I don't know how many other, like when I went to Japan, I didn't run into a lot of people who spoke English. Not maybe the people who were involved with the facilities that we were going to, like the hotel and maybe some of the tour guides, but just your general Japanese person, they don't know English. I had to use translation apps for that. So maybe we'll just add in there. We'll teach them. How about that? We'll teach them, because there's a lot of beautiful Asian women. I don't know if I necessarily want to rule out just because they can't speak English. We'll teach them. We'll teach them
to converse. That is entirely important to fall deeply in love with somebody or have a relationship that lasts. And
He's right.
that's what this program is about. This
Exactly.
is not about coming in for a quick green card. This is
It's not just about making a baby. It's about making a baby and creating long-lasting relationships with the spouse, creating the family environment again. Yeah, 100%.
about any sort of exploitation. This is about finding people that are going to come over to America, create American babies, create American families, and stay with their partner. That's the important thing.
Yes.
Requirements for the American breeder. That's
Okay,
the American
this is us.
applicant, right? So I'm putting them in that category. So there's the foreign breeding applicant, then there's the American. The requirements for the American host, right? So the American host has to have sufficient income to support the breeder, at least 100K. That's necessary, and has paid.
And depending on where you live, that might not be enough, because certain areas in this country are so expensive that 100K, you're barely gonna live on your own. Like when I was single, before I met my wife, this was 20 years ago, I made $75,000 a year. And I had a 1-bedroom apartment. The rent was like $1,200 a month. I had my own truck that was already paid off by that point. And so I was doing okay. But I don't think if I were to put myself in that exact situation now, same place, I don't know if I could afford it. Things have gotten that much more expensive. I don't think rent is the same. And I don't know. So it really depends. Like if I made $100,000 and I lived where I grew up, oh, hell yeah, I'd be rolling in it. I'd be like, money ain't a problem. Because, I mean, we could easily make it work. So I think that very much depends on your locale. So, but I think that is a good starting point, 100K.
Paid for all existing dependent children, right? So you have to have everything paid for. So if you have any children that are not fully taken care of and paid for, sorry, you can't do it. It's just not, you're not able to qualify for the program. So you have to have that sufficient money. Next, you have to have a clean criminal record. Okay. So if you have a criminal record where you're out there, you're doing bad things, whatever, not going to work. And next, you have to have traveled to the country physically to meet the breeder, to meet the person you're going to breed with and have kids with. So whether you're a man or woman, you got to go out there, you got to get on a plane.
There's got to be an attraction. You want, like you said, you want to create a long lasting relationship. So there's got to be some level of attraction. I would imagine you're going to have to date and get to know each other before you knock the person up, right? I mean, you don't want to create a situation where they're getting knocked up within a month or two, and you realize 6 months down the road, relationships just not going to work.
And you got to meet this person, right? You cannot stay in America and do
That is
mail
a
order stuff. That's export.
that is a point. I don't see it here. Maybe you mentioned it earlier. At what point do you allow the baby making to proceed? You know what I mean? How long do you want them to be together and be dating before you let that happen? You know what I mean?
That's wrong. You're not actually in love with that person, right? That's a scam. None of that, right? You've got to go physically there, meet them. You got to got photos. You have to have proof that you're in love with this person. You got to show them messages. You got to show them backup. No marrying your cousin. None of this scam marriage stuff. This has to be
Or your
100%
brother.
legit romantic relationship for a deeper purpose than just coming into the United States. All right. And I'm not going to limit this. We're not going to limit this for Americans because we want our Elon super babies, right? We want our Elon super babies. So Elon, obviously, he's got more than
What?
one woman here in his life, and this could work with a lady or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. We can be equal opportunity. If there's a female Elon out there, that can happen too, right? But we're not limiting this to one because we want all those American super babies in America. Once again,
We're not limiting this to one. Are you wait. Hold on. Let me just hear this again. I'm not sure I'm quite following here.
we can be equal opportunity. If there's a female Elon out there, that can happen too, right? But we're not limiting this to one because we want all.
Is he saying you can have more than one breeder? But not breeder, but if you're the breeder applicant, in other words, if you're the woman who's wanting to come in and get bred, or vice versa, if you're the person that wants to have the baby, in my case, let's just make this simple. In my case, if I want to have multiple Japanese women to have multiple Japanese babies with, and I can support it, are they saying they allow that based on this example? Like I can breed and knock up multiple. But I thought he wanted to create long-lasting relationships. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what he's getting. I know he wants to have the super genius babies. I get that, but I'm not quite following his point here.
Those American super babies in America. Once again, I think most people will only do one, but hey, let's leave the option open for America.
What happened to the long-lasting family relationships you just mentioned? Come on, look, don't get me wrong. I think it'd be kind of hot to have my own little harem, but one, it gets expensive. Two, one person of the opposite sex sometimes can be a handful in and of itself. I don't know what it would be like to have more than one. I mean, that sounds fun for a good time, for maybe a single night or a night here and there, but I don't know, man. Not everything works out like it does on TV and anime. I just don't know.
Americans because they're American. Protect both Americans and foreigners, male and female. Every gender, every person will be protected here, okay?
Good.
So this is something that's going to protect everybody. Everybody will be safe. First of all, at any time, either party can terminate the visa. So if anybody wants out of this, they can get out of this. The only thing is, hey, if you're the foreigner coming to U.S., if you terminate this, you do have to go home. You do have to leave.
Okay, but does that still apply when they've already had a kid? Because I like I said, that his whole point is to create loving, long-lasting relationships. So I think giving someone that ability to just terminate the visa at any point in time might not work towards that goal, especially if they already have a kid. Then you're just creating broken families, and it's the same scenario, same situation that we're already finding ourselves in with a lot of people here in this country anyway, with fatherless or motherless homes. So again, maybe some of this stuff needs to be thought out and drawn out a little bit more.
You do have to go home. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. It sucks, but you got to go home, right? Within 2 years, you have to have a child together. Now, I'm not saying have a marriage because I believe a marriage, and I'm a religious person, a Christian specifically, and I believe marriage is between you and God, and many people believe that as well, right? That's a very common belief. You do not necessarily need to go into the eyes of the state to have a kid, right? I get that. We're in a modern era. Things are different and things are changing. Okay. But you got to prove yourself to the country by having a child that literally gives you something, linking you to the country, a reason to stay there. And also,
I would say maybe potentially yes to the whole marriage part. I know he's like, yeah, marriage, stay. I get it. But the state is involved, whether you like it or not. And there are some benefits to being legally married in the eyes of the state. And I think that is something we probably should try to push.
reason to stay with the partner. Because once again, at any time this is terminable, so you've got to stay with that partner. The foreign applicant, the foreign breeder, can only apply for one visa per lifetime. So they have to think carefully. They cannot monkey branch. They cannot go to a different person. They have to stay with the person that they applied with. This ensures this is for a true romantic purpose and not for a scam. And this needs to be heavily enforced by ICE agents. We're hiring more ICE agents. Maybe Pokemon can advertise for ICE again so they are able to get enough agents to actually
So this is going to be
this. We need way more ICE agents.
All right.
Foreign breeder must be unmarried abroad. So they've got to have no husband, wife, whatever they are, they got to have nobody abroad. So there's nothing abroad.
He said foreign breeder. That doesn't apply to me unless we flip this situation around and I'm going to Japan. But maybe Japan doesn't have that same restriction. I don't know. We'll have to look at those.
And there's any form of fraud is cause for immediate deportation and possible criminal penalties. So if they're lying about a husband or lying about children,
no criminal penalties, just deport them.
Is not
criminal
financially
penalties
responsible for any foreign.
No, criminal penalties may allow them to stay here longer for whatever reason. No, if there's fraud, immediate deportation.
Dependent children. So if you have any children abroad, they are not responsible for those. The foreigner has to be up to date on their stuff there. If they're hiding those from you, if they're lying to you, that could also be fraud, right? So they better disclose to you all their situation, whether they're, secretly married or whatever else. They better disclose all that stuff, right? All that stuff better come out, right? Because otherwise they're going back to their country. Cap entry per year. So first you're going to want a pilot program, and then you're going to want to increase it over time. You're going to want to do very in-depth interviews to make sure these people are.
Here's what I say. I'm going to add to this. They are only allowed to come from Asian nations. And, China is unfortunately an adversarial nation. So for security purposes, I don't think China will be involved. So it's South Korea and it's Japan. So, all right. We have a lot of Asians. That's all I'm saying. A lot of mixed Asians, but they'll still look Asian.
Are genuinely romantically in love with each other, and make sure there's no security issues like terrorism, which is what unfortunately happened in the issue with the guardsman, Miss Beckstrom, who passed away in America very, very recently. We don't want anybody who's a terrorist coming in, male or female. So we need a very good security vetting of both of these individuals. Trump's already signed off. I think he's got Melania here once again. He understands the ability.
I can see him doing this. He loves his foreign women. I could easily see him doing this.
To go abroad, find somebody, and get married, breed, have kids. I mean, this is something he knows about himself. So in my mind, he's already signed off. And then this is a potential money printer. We've got The Bachelor, The Bachelorette meets 90 Day Fiance. These are all wildly popular.
No, let's not make TV shows of this. No. Let's stick to what the original purpose is. Let's not try to make this as some sort of TV show or some sort of farce, because it just doesn't work. Do you know how many times I've heard about relationships on The Bachelor, Bachelorette, or whatever show you want to reference here, where they make a bond, they are chosen, and then 6 months down the road or a year later, they're not together anymore. It just putting people together on TV does not work. So let's not even go that route.
Shows that make a bunch of money. Guess what? The federal government can run this, and they can make some money off of this. Instead of losing money, feds, you can actually make money and justify yourself and your existence. Isn't that crazy? Wouldn't that be good if we had this, running and they were making money and it paid for the administration paid for itself? Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, that would be great, but I just don't think it's for the best interest of the parties involved. And what parties I mean here are the two people who are trying to have a relationship and potentially make a baby / family. No, it's not good for them. I'm sorry. So no.
Do that. We got Big Ed over here. So we'll have that reading version, right? Absolutely hilarious. Great comedy, great stuff.
I have to admit, it would be funny and good entertainment, at least initially, but no, I can't do this just for the entertainment purposes. No, because remember, our goal is to create long-lasting relationships and families here for the betterment of our country, not for entertainment purposes.
It'd be fantastic. Then we've got a pilot program. I would like to nominate Asmongold Gran, from Five Hearts Under One Roof, the actress for Gran.
I nominate myself. I mean, I'm married, but that's okay. because he didn't say anything about marriage restrictions on the host. It was on the foreign person that had the restrictions. I'll take Gran. I'll take her. Her right here. I'm horrible with the names. Minjuk or Minmi, whatever her name is, the idol in season 2. She was also in season 1 as an idol, but she hadn't gone solo yet at that point. I'll take her too. She was cute. And Malsuk. Yep. Come on, ladies. Apply. Okay. Positions are going fast. Let's go.
Seeing the love between them, absolutely adorable.
No.
I love it. So
No.
cute. So cute.
Asmongold could never. He's too gross. He's too gross. No woman would put up with that. Look, I love his content, but no woman would put up with that. He would have to majorly change.
Finally got a bit of free time now, huh? Yes. Look at how tense your shoulders are. Can you help me with my stance? I think it's catcher, right?
I'm gonna
Like,
put my own video
it's
in
catch,
this.
right?
Instead of
Oh, God.
No.
We got to make it
It'll be
happen
mine.
between these two and see what happens there. I've got a special Korean lady in my life I'd think about for this, but we'll have to see whether she agrees.
You know, I had the option when I was in the military. I had 2 choices coming out of AIT, right? I could either go to airborne school or I could go to Korea for a year. I was like 19, 20 at the time. Going to Korea for a year away from everything. Look, I wanted to get away from home, but that was a little too far for me. So I was like, yeah, I'll go to airborne school. And while there's a part of me that wishes I would have done that, wishes I would have gone to Korea, another part of me understands I know who I am. And if that would have happened, I would have come back married. I would have come back with someone, giving them a green card, hoping that they love me for who I am for the rest of my life, but knowing that there's a good chance that they could leave me the moment they get their permanent green card or whatever. And plus, it also would have messed up my potential relationship with my future wife that I'm married to now. So, yeah, I think it all worked out for the best, but oh man. All right.
With me. Next, guys, we've got _legal_mindset. This is my TikTok. And then we've got legal.mindset. That's my Instagram. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on this. We want to make this go viral. We want to make Barron Trump notice me, senpai. We want to make sure this thing
God.
is circulating and everyone is getting on this because
Oh my
this will change
God.
America. If we incentivize
Notice me, simp. Oh my God. That's cringe. That's cringe, but funny cringe.
the breeding visa and we push this as the #1 visa, we make all the other visas take
You know, it
longer than
sucks.
this one. This is the one that America pushes. This is the
Is
one they
now that something
incentivize.
like this is potentially being presented or proposed, I can't fucking take advantage of it. I mean, I could, but my wife would never let me. Oh, fucking sucks.
We can absolutely pump things up. We can get things going crazy in America, and we can make America breed again. And if you're interested in
All right, guys. That's going to be the video. But I think this could be great. You might have to adjust and tweak things. You have to work out the finer details. There might even be an app that needs to be created and involved, so you can swipe left, swipe right, and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm all for doing something that will help bring the population replacement numbers up. But at the same time, you need to make sure that whatever we choose, whatever we end up trying to do to fix that problem, we ensure that we keep our culture, we keep our traditions, we keep our way of life, we keep our identity as a nation, so that the people who come over here, they're leaving whatever they had behind, that they're becoming American. They're not bringing all of their stuff here, that they're coming over here to be an American. That's the most crucial aspect here. As much as I love Japan and Korea for whatever, if they're coming here, they're coming here to be an American. And I'm saying that knowing full well that if I were to try and do this with Japan, I wouldn't go to Japan expecting Japan to become America. I would go to Japan and I would become Japanese at least as much as I possibly could, knowing that I'm a white Southern guy. You know what I mean? So I would follow their ways. I follow their traditions. I'd wear whatever I need to wear at certain times. I would be Japanese in all but my skin. You know what I mean? I would embody as much of the Japanese people as I possibly could, because that's the way it should be done. When you go to another country to live there, then you become whatever that country is. You don't bring your country into that. That's not how that should work. So anyway, all right, this was a fun video. I like this. I initially thought it was going to be more of a meme, but the dude was serious. So I like it. Let's get this going. Share this, guys. I think this proposal could really work if it, just like I said, just needs more time in the oven. Bake it a little bit longer. Iron out all the details. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is this something you would support? Is this something you want to take part in? And if so, which nation would you want the foreigner to come from and that you would want to breed with? Because like I said in the video, I got a couple of nations in mind, but they're purely self-serving because I prefer Asians. But let me know what you think. Some of you might prefer other countries. So hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will talk to you guys later.